it's my favorite because they're so innocent. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
college, you get like the genuine, like you feel the intensity in college football to me because these like kids, they're playing for each other. They're not playing for a contract. You know what I mean? Like they're not playing because they're getting paid to play, which is a whole nother topic. But they're playing because they love the sport.
Hmm.
Whereas when you're watching NFL, when you're watching NBA, they're playing, you know, because they got a contract, you know, coming up. They're playing because, you know, they're getting millions of dollars. They're playing because of all this. But I feel like college, there's an innocence in college that
Nothing's playing
like
right
just
now.
makes the intensity huge. Just makes the intent like just makes the game a lot more intense.
In this media business, there are times where you're going to meet people in your life that you only may work with them one time, and they'll have an impact on you forever. You'll be forever connected. My guest today, that happened with me. The one and only Miss Shanell Starling. She and I worked together on one assignment at Morgan State University. It was a time where my last semester, I needed to add to my resume, to add to my demo reel. So I joined the spokesman. She, a sophomore at the time, was one of the writers. She mentioned a high school game. They said, Brian, we got an assignment for you. Why don't you go work with Shanell? You two can work on this high school game together. And right there, we was able to do the assignment. I learned she was a Steelers fan. I'm a Ravens fan, so you know how that conversation went. But we both were Carmelo fans. So after the assignment, of course we stayed in contact with each other. Now she has gone back home to Connecticut to work at ESPN, where we talk about that on today's show. And of course, she has spearheaded a women in sports group where they can just basically have a support system. So we talk about that. And of course, we had to have a Ravens Steelers conversation. And we got a little bit of sports debate because, you know, we got the best quarterback in Baltimore, and his name is Lamar Jackson. And it's always fun to see a Steelers fan root for a Baltimore player. So, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for this episode as I bring to you the host of the podcast from the sidelines with Shanell Starling, the one and only Shanell Starling. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I have on the line today one of my Morgan State sisters, one of my NABJ sisters, and just overall sister in journalism. And I guess she's still a sister of the AFC North, even though she
Don't do
roots for
that.
the team that I love to hate. I'll be honest with you. I don't hate them. I love to root against them, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is the one and only Miss Shanell Starling. Shanell, how you doing today?
I am great. How are you? Thank you for having me first and
I'm good.
foremost.
No, thank you for coming on. I definitely appreciate you. I know you've been, real busy. Just out here, I've seen your content online, and then seeing how you've been inspiring other women in journalism. I really love that. I always love when Black women and women in general come together and help each other out. So, I definitely appreciate what you're doing.
No problem. Yeah, I mean, we gotta, I say it all the time, like us as Black women, as Black people, we gotta, you know, we gotta support each other. But it's just something about like when Black women come together, you know, magic happens. And, you know, we just have to protect each other and support each other and just make sure we do whatever we have to do to make sure, you know, um, we don't get left behind. And I always say that. So that's super, super important to me.
Yeah, especially, recently with all the stuff that's going on, the speaking out movement, which I've been, very vocal about. And one of my friends was like, "Oh, you being a hero to the ladies." I said, "No, I'm not a superhero by any means. I wasn't able to stop the unfortunate assault that a lot of these ladies have been going through, but best to believe I'm gonna use my voice to speak up. Uh, and if I see something, I'm gonna stop it. You know what I mean? So I think it's very important, like you said, that we all stick together.
Yeah, and especially, yeah, I've seen your tweets and I've seen, but you've always been like that. So it's not even like this is happening and, all of a sudden, like Brian has so much to say. Like, no, you've always been an advocate for women, an advocate for Black women. So thank you for that. So it's just great to see, other men, other Black men, speaking up and having our back. It feels good. So, I mean, it sucks that it had to, like, it's happening because of, people speaking up and things, um, like bad things happening. But I am happy that, we do have the Black men, having our back when it comes to, a situation like that.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, when you look at just society, the first person that's going to jump up and defend a Black man is a Black woman. So why can't
Hmm.
that be reciprocated? I know that's the way that I was raised. My dad always told me, you protect your sister. And if you see somebody doing a woman wrong, you step up, you speak up. So it's not just, it's how I was raised. And then, obviously he treated my mother in a way and led by example in a way I'm supposed to treat women in general. So, and then, having a wife and a daughter, I look at them and I'm like, yeah, I want to raise my daughter to be able to protect herself. But the most important thing I have to do right now is raise my son and
Right.
how to treat women. And I'm so proud of him that he's spoken up, even in, little elementary school jokes. He's like, no, that's not funny. So,
Right. Yeah, that's important though, because like kids are watching, like we may not think that they're watching and they're listening, but they
mhm.
are. And, it's just super important that we're being intentional with what we do around our kids, other people's kids, just children in general. It's super important that we're, intentional with everything we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the fun stuff. Obviously those the conversations are important,
Right.
but you and I, so we met Morgan State University, the great
Whoop, whoop.
HBCU. You
Yes.
was there at the transition period, so you saw both sides. The When it was the
Yes.
communications and the School of Global Journalism. So
Right.
for a few of us who had graduated in 2013, we was, to be honest with you, a little envious. We was like, man, they getting all the good stuff. Can you talk about what it was like to be there during that transition?
So the transition for me, because my sister went to Morgan, she was an English major though. But and that's what I thought I was going to start as because I just liked writing. So when I got to Morgan and I realized like, no, I kind of want to write, but I want to gear it towards, storytelling and sports and news, that umbrella. So when I got there, um, it was just something that I've never seen before, just because of the fact that I came from a predominantly white, high school. So when I came to Morgan and I saw all these Black people, all these intelligent, beautiful Black people, and they wanted to be journalists, they wanted to be producers. I had all my professors were Black. Um, it was just something, it was a culture shock to me. And I say this all the time when people ask me, it was a culture shock, but in a good way, because it was something that I've never seen before, especially because I am from Connecticut and, Connecticut doesn't have that. They have, every state has, their cities and things like that. But as far as, seeing a bunch of successful, intelligent Black people, it was just something new to me. And I loved it the day I stepped on campus.
You know, so that's something we also have in common. For me, though, I had that about 4 years, well, several years earlier, being a non-traditional student, because I went to predominantly white school from kindergarten to eighth grade,
Mm.
and then high school was like, whoa, so it was definitely a lot to learn. But would you say were you gung ho on going to Morgan State or any HBCU, or were you considering a PWI?
No, so I was considering a PWI, but it was one in Connecticut, and it was close to home. That was kind of my safety school. Like I knew I would be able to get into it just because I like had connections there. So I just applied there, just safety, in case some things don't work out. But Morgan was my number one choice. First choice. I did apply to other HBCUs. I can't even remember. I think I applied to like Clark. I think that's it as far as HBCUs, because Morgan was my number one. Like if I did not get into Morgan, I was just going to stay home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how, because my sister went there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would come up, for homecoming and, to move her in, move her out. So at first, her first 2 years, I didn't really like it because I was like, what the heck is this? Coming from Connecticut, in like a small city in Connecticut, and then I see Baltimore. I was like, what's this? But then, her last 2 years, I was like, this is amazing. I love this school. I'm going to this school. I don't care what I have to do. So Morgan, by the time I was a junior in high school, I was like, Morgan is the end all be all for me.
Now, how many years y'all apart?
And we're apart. She graduated in 2008.
Okay.
So we're 7 years apart. So she graduated in 2008 and I started Morgan in 2011.
Got you. Okay. So when you went there, what was the highlight? Like I said, we met, what was it? Actually, it was the spring of 2013.
2012? 2013. Okay.
Yeah, it was the spring of 2013, the beginning of the semester. The high school basketball season was ending. And I was on the grind I was just trying to do as much internships or content around the school I could, and they told me, check out the Spokesman, they need some video content. And I remember you were writing, and they paired us up. They told us, go cover, it was Emerson.
I remember that. Yes.
Somebody.
Yes. Emerson, because I remember, I think they were green.
No, Emerson was red, but they were definitely playing a green team.
They were playing a green team. They were playing some guy who's really good.
Yep. Because he dunked.
I'm not sure where he is now, but he went to a good school. But I remember that. I do remember. Yep.
I got to see. I got to, go through my.
I think
YouTube
I still have my article.
Oh, okay.
I gotta find it.
So, because my brother was at the game, he was coaching at Edmondson at the time. I think he was coaching football or track, and he was going to support he was teaching auto mechanics. So he was there I was like, I think I saw him or he saw me. He's like, yo, you at the game? So, we talked. But that's when, I got to ask you this because, obviously that day I found out you were a huge Carmelo fan.
Let's go.
Did that play a factor in your decision? I mean, we know Melo's born in New York, but we also know we definitely rep Carmelo here. To me, the greatest basketball player ever raised in Baltimore. And I know some people are going to mention other names, but
ain't no other names. That's it. We said what we said.
They'll tell us to turn on that Dunbar documentary, but Melo was a megastar.
Yes, I agree. I don't even care. I don't even care about the numbers, whatever he is. Did that have anything to do with me wanting to come to Baltimore?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. It was definitely a plus because I was just like, oh, it's lit. Like I'm about to meet Carmelo Anthony. Like that's what came through my mind when I was like, because I would drive and I would see his youth center, and I was like, every time I would like look as I'm like driving by, like, okay, let me see if I see anybody in there that look like they're a little, too tall to be there, because that might be Melo. But I was super excited. I don't want to say it played a part, but it definitely, while I was there, I took every chance to, like actually for the Spokesman, that's how I met him. And I like got a picture with him and everything because I was there reporting and writing for the Spokesman. So yeah, I don't think it played a part, but it was a plus to me coming to Baltimore.
Yeah, so it's so cool because for me, I was in 9th grade and he was in 11th. Now we was totally different schools, but you always, when you're in high school, you kind of hear talk of the town more. And there was a guy, my buddy James, who played basketball for my school, and he was talking about Carmelo. And I was like, who? He said, yeah, man, there's this guy Carmelo. He go to Towson Catholic. He's the best in the city. He said, that dude going to the league. And then I remember my boy Andre, who went to so Carmelo went to school formerly known as Towson Catholic. Andre went to the
Mhm.
school formerly known as Cardinal Gibbons, both of
Mhm.
them Catholic schools. And he was telling me about Melo. So, as you know, he would go to prep school. And then next thing you know, I turn on the TV one day and it was like Carmelo Anthony from Baltimore, Maryland at Syracuse. Immediately, I'm a Syracuse fan. I'm rooting for them. And my 11th grade year, they would go ahead and win the championship. So, you know, it
Mm.
was pretty cool. I can say, hey, I went to high school with Melo in the same city, high school at the
Yeah,
same
you
time,
can
the same
say that.
city.
That's a flex.
Mm-hmm.
You need to put that in your bio. That's a flex.
Oh man. So you know, while you was at Morgan, did you join NABJ while you was there?
Yes, I don't even remember. Morgan is such a not a blur, but I don't everything just seems like it happened in like 2 years.
You did a
Um
lot, sis. You know, you
that's
could
no,
fix it.
no, that's not why. I just feel like it was just so much going on. But I did join NABJ. I don't remember what year. I think it might have been like my sophomore year because my
Okay.
freshman year I was just trying to fill everything out. But I did join the Morgan chapter my sophomore year, and I think I did some work on the e-board, but I
Okay.
really don't remember. That's the old in me.
Yeah, I think you probably joined around the same time I joined because I honestly didn't join
Yeah.
till my last semester, and
Mm.
that's when I found out. I found out because I went to the short course, and then that's all right. I got to join this organization. Now,
Yeah.
did you go to the convention while you were in college?
I did not. And the crazy thing is that every because after I graduated, I um like every year I was either out of town or
Mm-hmm.
doing something. And this year was going to be my, as an adult, going to NABJ. Like it was going to be
Oh man.
and it was in DC.
Yep.
And I don't like to talk about it. It was like, I was looking forward to that. Like, because I can't tell you how many people I've met, like not face to face, but I've met just through that network and just like on Twitter and things like that. So I was like ready. I was gonna go there by myself, but I was gonna know like a bunch of people, especially people I work with, just all different networks I have. So moment of silence for that, man.
Hey, trust me, we're all feeling it as you know, we're recording the Thursday in
Oh,
which we should be there. And shout out to our good friend Ashley Baker. She put in our group
Ashley.
chat. Yeah, she put in our group chat early this morning. Y'all, we supposed to be just wrapping up the ESPN breakfast. And I was like, yeah, just go ahead and remind us, you know.
Yeah, I'm so upset.
Well, I put it like this. I'll say this. So my first year, I kind of went cold turkey in a sense. We, excuse me, Mr. Wickham. Shout out to Dwayne Wickham.
Shout out to him for real. He
Yeah,
did some stuff.
tell me about it.
He's
In
a
wrestling,
legend.
so in wrestling, there's a guy named Paul Heyman, and people that got CM Punk said I'm a Paul Heyman guy. So
Mhm.
I've always said I'm a Dwayne Wickham guy, and you know. Some circles that's popular, some circles is not, but hey, it is what it is.
No
Um,
facts.
But our first year, he paid for most of us to go. And you had
Mm.
about 20 Morgan students because they was introducing the School of Global Journalism.
Hmm.
Well, for me, the experience was great. However, it helped having that many Morgan students go, but I didn't know as many people. So the next time I would go to the full conference, because I did go to DC to party in 2016, but in
Mm.
2017 I actually went to the full conference in New Orleans. I knew so many people because, like you said, through social media. So the
Right.
best part is when you go next year, we're gonna speak of existence. When you go to Houston,
No, next year, I don't care if I gotta host it.
okay,
We are going next year. Let me tell
let's
you.
do it. I'm ready.
We have to. Corona's not gonna, it's not, she will not succeed.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I like to hear. And so we would be able to go. You know, you'll have so many people, like you said, that you'll be able to meet face to face, and it won't be just coming in cold turkey.
Right.
So that's gonna be the best part. Um, But moving on, you graduated and then you went back home to Connecticut.
Yes.
Was that always the goal, or like, did you want to stay in the DMV? How did that come about?
So I did want to stay in the DMV just because everything is there.
Hmm.
Just my friends who turned family, um, they were in DMV. The opportunities for me, I thought were in DMV because they have so many sports teams, they have so many news outlets compared to Connecticut. So once I graduated, I stayed for the summer just trying to find work. And then it came to a point where it was like, I have to move now because, the lease is up. Um, I have to find a job. So I'm like, okay, let me go back home. Let me gather my thoughts. And I hit up one of my friends in high school. She worked at a local like sports station here, and she was like, hey, like they have an internship, like if you're interested. They don't, it's not regular pay, it's like a stipend at the end of it, but I think it'll be like a great experience for you. So I'm like, great, like I can do that, go back to Connecticut, I'll live at home so that I don't need to worry about paying for rent. Definitely going to be a like different because I haven't lived home for what, 4 years. So I'm like, it's fine though. We got to think about the journey. So I go back, got the internship, also had like a, just a regular job on the side. And then once that internship ended, I moved back to the DMV area. So I was probably in Connecticut for about a year and a half, and then moved back to the DMV area because I just couldn't stay away.
Now,
I
what
just
did you
can't.
do? And when you came back, what did you do?
So I was still doing things. So my story and journey is kind of different because I was still working, that job that I had to have because,
Hmm.
I had to pay rent and I wanted to be in the DMV. So I told myself, hey, if I move back to Maryland, I have to have a good enough job with good enough hours so that I can work on my own thing. So I can work on my content. So I can, um, better myself as a journalist if I'm going to come back to Maryland. So I did that. I worked at like a truck company, but I was like doing like secretary work, but I was still, writing. I was still, I started um, Down to the Wire with one of my friends, Courtney, who actually now works at ESPN as well. So that's what I was doing because I still wanted to, I didn't want to find I still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to be in sports, but I didn't know whether that was, did I want to write? Did I want to report? Did I want to anchor? Because there's so many things you can do. There's so many things. So that's what I ended up doing when I came back to Maryland. I worked and then I, just started putting out content like, hey, I want to start a show. Hey, I want to write. And then, from there, I, applied to ESPN, and that's where I am now.
So you get the excuse me, you get the call. It's March 2019. You
Mm,
get the call. You're going home. Did you have a big celebration? It's for it's a you wanted to be in the DMV, but it's
right,
ESPN and it's home.
right,
So
right.
was it like I don't want to say a rock and a hard place because obviously you're in your field doing what you
Hmm.
work so hard for, and you
Right.
get to go back home. Like, what was the excitement like with you and your family?
So it was super. I was excited because I was at a place that from maybe like November of 2018 until I got that phone call, maybe the summer of 2018, I was super discouraged. I was like, I still don't have a job that I want. I'm working this job. I just feel like, my resume is not building the way I wanted to build. I'm not in the place that I thought I would be when I was, 19. I told myself I was, how we do that to ourselves. We give ourselves these fake deadlines. And then when we don't reach them at, the time that we thought, we get discouraged and we start questioning our purpose and questioning, our skill. So that's where I was before I got the job at ESPN. So once something clicked to me like that summer, the summer before, I was just like, Shanell, like if you want something, you have to go get it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to hit up my mentor who used to work at ESPN, because I used to be the type of person where I like to do things myself, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like being a bother, or I don't like, I don't like feeling like I'm using people. That's how I like used to be. Now, completely different. But that's where I was. And I was just like, I don't want to hit her up because, I don't want her to think that I'm just using her. But in my head, I was just like, no, like, hit her up, see what she can do, if she has any connections there, because I knew she did. So I hit her up and I was like, hey, I really am discouraged right now. Can we just meet up for lunch? Because I just really need to talk to you. So we met up, I talked to her, and she was just like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to go back home and I want to work at ESPN. And she was just like, all right, let me give you somebody's email. And I was just like, so this is what I could have did this 2 years ago. Like, I was just like, all it takes is me to just ask, like, like, closed mouths don't get fed. Like, that is my thing. Like, closed mouths do not get fed. Like, after that, I was just like, yeah, anything what's the worst that's going to happen? She's going to say no to a job I already don't have. Like, there's nothing bad that can happen from that. So that's how I looked at it. And then, she got me in, connected with someone from HR there. And then, of course I had to do the interview and, get through all of that. But I just had to ask. I have to open my mouth. If I want something, you have to say it. You have to, believe it. So that's what I had to learn, coming out of college. Like, if you don't say anything, you are going to always be without.
I love what you said when you said, what you gonna say no to a job that I already don't have. I think you should put that on a quote somewhere for young students, because we do see people, and I've done it, you've done it, a lot of other people listening have done it, where you're like, nah, I don't want to bother somebody or this,
Right.
that, and other. But it's like, you already don't have it. So what's the worst that can happen? So
Right.
that, I always say what's the worst that can happen, but I said what they're gonna say no to a job that I don't have is better. So yeah, definitely bookmark that. That's yours. And so if anybody want to take it, nope, Shanell said it right here on
I
Breaking
know.
Through Glass
I'm be like,
Ceilings.
go watch go listen to the podcast. I'm taking you to court.
Exactly. So now you get the ESPN. Do you remember your interview process? And did you we had to get flown out there? You were still living here, right? So
Yes, I got flued out. Okay.
yeah.
I sure did. I finessed it though, because like I had family, my mom and dad are here. So I didn't really need, you know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't, why not go to a hotel right near where my interview is. So yeah, the interview process was super nerve wracking. Like, because for me, this is my first job, like, this is like my dream job
Yep.
at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's ESPN. Like, as a child, if you would have told me I was going to be at ESPN at 27, I would be like, shut up. Like, oh my God. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was like a dream come true, but I had to kind of snap out of that, once the interview process came, because, I had to act like I belong to be there. I belong there. Like, I couldn't act like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Oh my God. Okay, I can't believe I'm here. Like, no, I'm supposed to be here. So I'm not surprised. So that's the attitude I had to come in with it, which was kind of hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the interview was intense. It was a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a group interview, and then they
You did the car wash.
and then we did the individual, and then we did the tour.
Yep.
So when we did the tour, in my head, I'm like, okay, am I in? Like, what's going on? But it wasn't that, because some of the people who got the tour with me, they didn't end up getting the job. But as far as the interview, a group interview is always, like, to me, I hate group interviews, because
Yeah.
you always have those people that are going to, go above and beyond to make sure that they're heard, which you're supposed to do. It's a
Yeah.
group interview. I get it. But it kind of makes it like, I don't want to make it seem like it is a competition, but at the same time, like, I don't want to have to do too much. I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to have to be somebody that I'm not, just because, we're in a group. I'm going to say what I have to say. And if you feel it, you feel it. And if you don't, you don't.
Did
So
you
that
have
was
anybody prep you beforehand?
Yes. So my friend Courtney, the one who I did Down to the Wire with, she got the job before. That's how I heard about like the program they had going on.
Mhm.
And she got the job, and then she told me I should apply. And um she was like just giving me questions and thing, and then because at first it was like a Zoom, it was a Zoom interview, just like you and one person.
Yep.
And that was nerve-wracking to me too, because it was just like, okay, like, hi, like, this is kind of weird, like we're on Zoom and you're going to ask me these questions. I don't really know you, but it was just different for me because I've never done an interview like that. But she did prep me with the questions, and she was like, hey, this is what they're probably going to ask. This is what they asked me. Make sure you know your sports knowledge and things like that. And of course, you go on Google, and, Glassdoor will let what type of questions they're going to ask. So the hardest part was the actually getting there and like snapping out of that dream phase.
Yeah, so for me, you probably would have hated me because I was one of
Oh,
those
you're
people.
that group interview? Oh my God, Ryan.
Well, not too much. So, all right, for me, there was Alexandra Bolin. Her last name is Galipsko now. I I haven't talked to her to ask her how to pronounce her last name, but so she graduated from Morgan in 2011.
Mhm.
And she was there, and I remember when I went to NABJ get the interview, I landed the interview. I let her know. I said, hey, because she had a rule on Facebook. She would say, I'm in town. No, I can't get you a job. Don't ask me about my job. So I remember I sent her a message. It was like, hey, you still on vacation? She goes, yeah, but what's up? I said, well, I went to NABJ, had the interview to center. She's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, you talked to some great people and so forth. So when I got the interview, she said, look, let's meet up. We'll go out to dinner and we'll talk. And she prepared me for it. And then Professor, shout out to Jerry Bembry, he told me, brother, it's a competition. They'll tell you it's not a competition, but it's a
They will
competition.
that, and that's what they did. They told us like, this is not a competition. And right when I heard that, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yep. So what I did was um, I went there and I didn't, I made sure I knew I was at an advantage. So I was 27 also. And I had, because I had went to community college, took 3 years off, worked at Best Buy, put myself through Morgan while working at Best Buy, quit, worked at a couple warehouse jobs or whatever while in between graduating and going to NABJ. I worked like some temp jobs. I knew I had job experience. So I
Mhm.
knew I would use that to my advantage.
Mhm.
Not speaking so much while I'd be annoying, but if there was a question, I was gonna make sure my hand was up.
Right.
And it worked out. Allison, she was like the one person I interviewed with during the car wash. And when she found out about the wrestling realm, she was actually like, oh man, this is great. And ironically, she was the first person that on the first team I had. So
Mm.
I always encourage people to speak up during the group interview.
Right.
It's hard, like you said,
Right.
you don't want to be that guy, but when you look at it, or girl, but you look at it like, look, it's money. It's money.
Right. Right.
So do you,
No, because
oh, go ahead.
I do, I do agree with the, speak up. You should, if that's what you're good at, like, you should definitely do that. Even if it's not what you're good at, go out of your comfort zone. But I'm
Mhm.
the type of person, when I say like, I meant people like the group who like try to do like speak over you, and
Yeah.
like the
Oh no.
obnoxious people,
Oh.
That's what I meant. Because like for me, I was just like, um I was the same with you. Like I was just like, I've had these jobs, I've had these internships, and I'm like, Shanell, this is you need to get out of your comfort zone today, right now, because you have prayed for an interview here. So whatever you need to do, don't, like what we used to say in basketball, like don't leave nothing on the court. So
Hmm.
don't leave this job interview like, dang, I should have said this. Dang, I should have told them that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's the mindset I went into it with.
Exactly. So one of the things, what was your first assignment when you was at ESPN?
My first assignment was Sports Center at night. So it was like the 4 p.m. to 1
Oh.
a.m. shift.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. I thought you meant like the graveyard shift.
Like 4 a.m. or like what? No,
Yeah,
no,
you
no,
said.
no.
So,
No, no, no.
so you was doing VOs?
So what I was doing, they have different things you can do. Like you have different assignments each night. So
Mm-hmm.
I was doing highlights. So, being assigned to a game and then cutting the highlight for it. Or I was um, cutting highlights or smaller clips for um, .com. So for the app or for the website. So digital. So I was doing those two things heavily my first 6 months. And then I went into college sports.
All right, well, so real quick, we stick with Sports Center. You go to highlights. Do you remember your first game or your first game that aired?
Yes. I believe I think it was a Rays baseball game because they got me in baseball because I came in March. So by the time I finished my training, it's
Mm-hmm.
NBA playoffs and stuff. Yeah, I'm not gonna
Likewise.
be on playoffs, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yep.
I'm new. So they like, oh, baseball, here you go. And baseball is one of the sports I didn't come in loving, but now now I can watch it without falling asleep. I might catch a few Z's still during it, but now I watch it knowing just different players and understanding the game a lot more. So I think my first highlight I cut that aired, because you can cut a highlight, but the
Mm-hmm.
ones that air is the one that's most important. Because it just feels different when you see and you hear the anchor reading off your highlight. And it was the Rays. It was the Rays game.
So funny story. So my first highlight was Lakers Blazers because I started at the end.
Look at that. That's good.
Sorta, because
Okay.
this is Kobe's hurt, but he makes a quote and he says something along the line of, everybody better get ready because when I come back, it's vengeance. So have fun this year. But he doesn't show up to the game, so I can't use the quote. And I was like, God dog it. And Ben Regal was my HP.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool, and it aired. And I was like, oh, wow. So my first highlight aired. And I think like my first two aired. But then, we get in the baseball season, and I came in a huge baseball fan. I wanted to work on baseball tonight.
Oh, that's great.
But if I'd have stayed in highlights, I don't think I would have liked baseball no more.
No,
The
no
extra
way.
inning games.
What? No
Did you
way.
have any of those?
Let me tell you. Okay, two stories. First one, I had a digital game. Not a digital, but I was cutting it for digital. So it's not the highlight that's going to air on TV, but it's going to be the, clips that air on the app.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm cutting it. First of all, it was a Rockies game in Colorado. Great. Number two, it was a rain delay. Game was supposed to start at 7, right? But to us, 7 is getting kind of late. But in Colorado, that's not that late.
Mm-hmm.
So
But it's 10 o'clock, right?
So yeah. So the first hour goes and I'm okay. Maybe I'm praying that they just postpone it at this point. But it's the end of the season, so they really can't because they already have other makeup games. So I'm like, okay. So now it's like 9. It's 10 o'clock, but there it's what 7.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's 10 o'clock. So I'm like, and it's still like, okay, they're trying to see what's going on. So I'm just sitting at the computer, like what I just need something. So then like 10:30 hits and they're like, all right, they're gonna play. And I'm just like, and then the game went extra innings.
Ooh.
So I left there like 3.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a fun one.
Did you have to backlog?
No, because I was doing it I was doing it for digital, so it wasn't as like crazy.
Gotcha.
Like a highlight. And they needed me to do it because no one was doing the highlight. So they needed something. They were like, oh, Shanell's already cutting it. We'll just take what she has if we need to show it. So that's why I had to stay. So over it. Another game that I had for highlights, I will never forget this moment. I had a game that wasn't really, it was a good game. I forgot what team it was. It was supposed to be a solid game, but the game kind of turned up like in the 6th inning.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, my game that's supposed to be at the bottom of the hour is at the top of the hour now
Oh,
because the game
wow.
is so good. So now I'm like, so I'm just minding my business, and now my HP comes to me like, they're leading off the show with your highlight. And I was like, wait, what's going on? Okay, what are we doing? What do we have to do? Like, what you need me to do? Let's get this going. So it ended up going extra innings, but they still had to run the highlight that I had, like an in progress highlight. And no lie, the minute I put the highlight in the folder, like 2 seconds later, it ran. Like that's how
Wow.
close it came. And
Yeah.
I wanted to cry just because I was just so like, just because it's just so much going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you got to write the shot sheet, and Brian, like you have to do so much. There's so much stuff that goes with doing a highlight. It's not just cutting a highlight. You have to do a lot. You got to make sure that cut sheet is right. It's a lot that goes into doing a highlight. So I was just so overwhelmed. But of course, this is my first kind of big game. So I'm like, get it together. Like in my head, I'm like, get it together. Just relax. Don't, you know, don't get crazy. So
That takes me
I
back to my Dodgers and Twins game. And it had to run on Sports Center and Baseball Tonight at the same time because it
oh
went
my God.
extra innings, and it was painful. And like you said, the shot sheet and the cut sheet is.
You got to make sure you put it in the right server. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much that you have to, like, I feel like now after being in highlights,
Mm-hmm.
um, I can, and now, and plus having that raps experience, like, we'll talk about it, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can literally do anything at ESPN just because of that fast paced environment. Like,
Yep.
it's real, but it's so, I don't know. I get a rush like after I'm done, and after I saw it run and everything was fine. There was no problems with the shot sheet. There's it's a rush. Like it feels like I did that. Like I did that. I got it done, and it was a good highlight. So it's stressful during the process, but once it's done, you feel so good. You feel so good that nobody really knows what you have to go through to get that highlight in time.
Yeah. Now I gotta ask you this: because you being somebody who's active on social media, have you ever went on social media after you produced a highlight and seen a comment about it?
No, so I did for something I did for digital because I
Okay.
did something for I think it was I had like a Luca I put like a Luca like montage together
Mm-hmm.
for .com, and no one said anything about like cutting it, but they were just like, so whoever cut this didn't see that travel, and I was like, shut up. Like, it was just like something like that. Like, I was just like, oh my God, whatever. Like, they were like, oh my God, whoever cut this, they must love Luca. I'm like, shut up. Like, they told me to cut Luca. Like, I'm like screaming at myself. Like, oh, people
Mm-hmm.
are so stupid.
Did
Have
you
you ever had that?
one time
Anyone
it
ever?
was
What happened?
2014. It was the Kings and the Warriors. Now this is Splash Brothers under Mark Jackson. And for
Mm.
whatever reason, the Sports Center producer wanted to show bad Kings. And I was like, the Warriors was winning the game. And
Mhm.
I was like, all right, let's, but they was like, nah, they've been missing crazy dunks. So let's just show bad Kings. I was like, all right, whatever. It was the day before. I was honestly hoping I got a 7 o'clock game because I was like, all right, I get 7 o'clock game. I'm going back to Baltimore tonight. Because what I used to do was my wife and I would leave at 2 in the morning. And
Mm.
then that way we get home about 7, go sleep, but we wouldn't have to travel during the daytime. So, of course, I get a 10 o'clock game. I said, are you kidding me?
That's so. Did you guys have the grid back then?
Yeah, yep.
The grid is like you want to know what team you on. Like, did you make JV or like the
Oh
grid?
no, so we didn't have it like that.
Oh my God.
You did have people who were assigned like certain teams. So like shout out to like
Oh.
Cornell. He all had all the Heat games. This is during, LeBron era. That time Chika Okafor
Mm,
had all the Pacers games because this is Paul George and Lance Stevenson and
mm.
that Pacers team. Um, Christina Clancy had all the Thunder games.
Christina Clancy, she's there. She's an HP now.
I know, I saw that. So she was a CA when I was PA. She was
Mm.
always helpful for to me.
Yeah, she's definitely she's super helpful.
Yeah, so like you saw all those, they had, you had some people who were on, I guess it was called the unit, but then, for the rest of us, they just
Mm.
threw us wherever. So I was like, man, so I ended up putting the highlight together. And so I'm riding home and I'm looking on my phone. They said, ESPN is stupid. The the Warriors won the game, but all they did was show Kings highlights. So
Sorry, that's what my producer wanted. Sorry. I
yeah.
am sorry.
So
Jesus.
it's one of those things, right? So
They don't understand.
right, exactly. So you went to Raps right after Sports Center, or did you do anything else in between?
Yeah, so I went straight to Raps after Sports Center. Don't know. I didn't even know what Raps was.
Okay.
But my manager was just like my manager at the time, um, she was just like, yeah, we're gonna put you in Raps. And I was just like, okay, like great, whatever that is. Got to it my first day. Not my first day, my first college football Saturday.
Oh
That's the
boy,
initiation.
I
That
was
is the initiation. Got there. I because I shadowed for like maybe a week. Um, and then I shadowed a Saturday before my first Saturday. But it wasn't like anything. It seemed fine. First Saturday by myself, different. Absolutely different. Like I love it. I love it so much. I love my team. It's just we are just working, and I had the 10 to 12 shift.
okay.
Um, so I was there first game, and I did not leave until the last game. Um,
Sheesh.
yeah, and it was a grind, but they take care of us in Raps as far as because we can't go out and eat. They bring the food to us. They give us food. They cater food every Saturday for us. My manager has a Christmas party for us at the end. Not at the end, like at the end of not. It's not a Christmas party, but he has a Raps party for us once everything is over. Um, but it's a super fast environment. I had to get used to people screaming at me. Like I
Okay.
had to, because I'm the type of person, I was a child that like I didn't like when my parents I didn't like when my parents yelled at me. Like
Hmm.
I actually felt bad when people yelled at me. So I had to get used to being yelled at. Even if it was something that was out of my control. Like it's just like now they yell at me, I'm just like, all right, whatever, I gotta take it. Like it is what it is. And something that I learned working at ESPN, whether it's highlights or Raps, whatever it is, that you know, tomorrow no one's going to remember anything. And that's good and bad, because you can have a great highlight and do an amazing job. But once that new day comes, it's time for another highlight. So nobody's going to remember that great highlight you did yesterday night. Vice versa, when you do a bad highlight, you have a bad day, you didn't get your highlight in time, you cut something wrong, that next day you got to just brush that off, and it's time for the next assignment. And so that's something that I love about the job, is because like that the day before doesn't follow you to the next day. It's over. It's you start with a clean slate every night or every morning.
Yeah, dang, man. Do you have any like particular moments that stand out during your time in that position?
Like Raps.
Yeah, just doing Raps, like anything that like one of your favorite moments, or
um
like perhaps a favorite game you did.
I don't even Raps is just so, because we don't have just one game.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of tough. I think I enjoy Raps because I'm I'm an execute, like I like to execute. Like that's the type of person I am. I'm not like really, I don't like when people are over my shoulder. Like the whole highlights thing wasn't for me, because I felt like I wasn't on my own. Like I'm the type of person, I need to be on my own. You tell me what you need me to do, and I'll make sure you get it. And I need you to trust me to just give you what you asked for. I'm not a type of person who likes to, hey, can you look at this real quick? Hey, can you look at this? What's this look like? Can we look at this? Like, I'm not that type of person. I like to do my own thing. So for raps, I love it because there's so much work that I'm doing, but nobody will ever know. And you know, our department, we push a lot of content during, college football Saturdays that like I think like if you make it in raps, you can make it anywhere. Like that's
Yeah.
just me, because it's just so much. Like you literally have 7 people yelling at you. So I think just my time at ESPN, as far as like just raps, is just I just feel like raps has made me grow as a person. Just whether it's like what I'm doing, what I'm cutting, um, not taking anything, like not being too sensitive, not taking anything personal, communicating with people, being comfortable with, telling people what to do and being comfortable with taking criticism. So all of that in one is what I'm learning in raps. And so that's why I love rap so much.
Now, was you a big college football fan before going to raps?
Not at all.
Okay. Do you
Not
think
at
that helps
all.
because you don't get emotionally attached?
Um, no, because I do have a team now.
Okay.
I'm an Ohio State fan. I'm a Buckeyes fan.
Okay.
Just because I like the little swag to them. But um, I I don't know. I think that I like I like college sports better than professional sports. Not football though. NFL is like my favorite sport, all
Ravens.
like thing. We're not gonna do that right now. Um, it's my favorite because they're so innocent. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
college, you get like the genuine, like you feel the intensity in college football to me because these like kids, they're playing for each other. They're not playing for a contract. You know what I mean? Like they're not playing because they're getting paid to play, which is a whole nother topic. But they're playing because they love the sport.
Hmm.
Whereas when you're watching NFL, when you're watching NBA, they're playing, because they got a contract, coming up. They're playing because, they're getting millions of dollars. They're playing because of all this. But I feel like college, there's an innocence in college that
Nothing's playing
like
right
just
now.
makes the intensity huge. Just makes the intent like just makes the game a lot more intense.
Yeah, that's true. And, looking at it, it's definitely, I remember having a lot of my friends who was on raps and, I would be home on Saturday and, they coming in, like you said, late. And I'm like, yo, how you feel, man? I'm tired. It's been a long
Tired,
day. So
tired.
did you at least get like 3 days off or 4 days off?
No, so our busiest day was Saturday. During the week, we would, depending on what's going on. So during the week, it was prep. We would prep.
Okay.
So it's a very calm schedule during the week. We might throw in, a WNBA game. What else? Basically, like, WNBA when once college basketball is there, it's
Mhm.
crazier.
Oh,
But it's not
man.
as crazy because when college basketball starts, it's the playoff of college football.
Yeah.
So it's not as many games, but like that whole like feast week and stuff is crazy. But um I don't know. I just feel like I lost what I was saying. What was your question? You
Yeah.
said,
Did you at least get like extra time off or
oh,
something?
like no, not really. But our weeks were very, they just told us to prep. They
Gotcha.
didn't say come in and prep and we're gonna check your work. It was like, just come in and prep and make sure you're ready for Saturday. So it
You
was a
knew what you
lot
had to
more
do.
freedom. Yes, it was a lot more freedom during the week. And it made Saturday so much easier. And it's just
Mhm.
like you're with the same crew every Saturday.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything, it got crazy just because you never know what's going to happen during a broadcast, during a game. But it just made it that much easier because we're working with the same people. We know what we have to do, and we're watching college football. Like that's
Mhm.
the main thing. We are getting paid to watch college football. There's
That's
no way
true.
I can, like, there's no way I can complain. And we're
That's
getting fed.
Yeah, but that's the best part. See, like when I was in social media, my my first big night from like I was kind of play on your podcast from the sidelines. I was there during the national championship game, and I want to say it was Duke and Wisconsin, and they was like, we just want you to just sit back, watch, monitor social media, and they ordered wings and stuff. And I was, oh man, this is great. So then the
Right.
next go round was, I want to say the next big thing was the NFL draft. And then we
Hmm.
had the same treatment for the NBA draft and the
Yep.
NBA finals. Every day of the finals, we got fed. The All-Star game, I think we ate during the All-Star game, MLB All-Star game that night. I may
Listen,
be
they're gonna
wrong.
feed you. They're gonna
Yeah,
feed you.
definitely. We had a lot of J. Timothy's. I miss those
Yes.
wings.
Yeah. They, oh my God, people love, I think J Tim is good.
Okay.
Except they're not the best wings in Connecticut.
Who has the best?
There's a place in Windsor. Giovanni's has the best wings in Connecticut.
In
I'm
Windsor?
telling you. Yes.
Okay.
I'm telling you. It depends. Well, they do like they have hand battered wings.
Oh,
Like,
see, because
yeah.
I would trust your judgment.
You should. Because J
uh,
Tim's is more like, they're like buffalo and
mhm.
different flavors, right? Yeah. Those are good. They're good. They're good. They're good.
We also had Wings Over. Had Wings Over Bristol a lot.
Mm.
It did, but
There's some good Bristol spots.
yeah,
People sleep on Bristol.
absolutely. And it
Just
was
not their apartment's just trash.
you ain't lying. It was another spot. I don't know what the name of it was, but it looked like it was going towards Windsor, but it's like the exit before that. I want to say exit 51 or 31 or something like that. That my cousin used to take me to, and it looked like an old shack house. But man, those
Maybe
wings.
Wilson's. I don't know.
It might have been like it's like right off the highway. You go over there, it's like off to the side. It's look like you don't want to be out there too late. But
I don't know. Maybe Ranch House. I don't know.
that's what it is. Yep, Ranch
Ranch
House.
House. Oh, you are from Connecticut. Like you. No. We got to get you a button or something. No, you are from here. People don't just go to the Brian. What you doing at the Ranch House?
So when I moved there, my cousin lived there he had been up there about over 10 years. And so when I told him, hey, just got a job at ESPN, first thing he said is, all right, cool. I got an extra room. You can stay with me for, till you find your place. So I lived with him for 3 weeks until I moved to Bristol. And part of the reason, well, I wanted to be on my own too, but
Right.
part of the reason that kind of sped the process, because that was a 45-minute drive to work every day.
Yeah, I'm about to say,
morning.
I live even past that. I live like near the airport.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so I was like, I lived at when I moved there, I lived at the place literally right down the street. Like you could walk down that little back road. I can't even think of the name of it. But
Oh,
yes,
I think I know what you're talking about. Okay.
where everybody lived. Because at one point me and Christina lived in the same building. So yeah, that was the thing. But yeah, Ranch House, that was a spot.
That's impressive. People don't know. If you don't know about the Ranch House unless you are deep rooted in Connecticut, in Hartford. That is like, I'm impressed.
Yeah. So now, let's shift over. Obviously, doing your thing at ESPN, but you recently launched a podcast, From the Sidelines with Shanell Starling. When did you decide to do that? Because I'm a fan of it. I really love hearing stories. I know you've had quite a few athletes that being in Baltimore I never heard of, but just hearing their stories have been great. So when did you decide to do that?
So I have a thing for I love hearing the stories of athletes, specifically high school athletes, college athletes, because you don't really hear this story unless they make it to what we think is make it. So whether they make it to the league. But there are a lot of stories out there to be told. And I know coming from, Hartford, Connecticut, there are a lot of great athletes that don't get that exposure because, Connecticut is a small state. You only hear about the athletes that make it to, the NFL or the NBA. So, me being from Hartford, I'm like, it's my job to give them that exposure that I think that they deserve. So that's how I came up with it. I'm like, I want to talk to these athletes. I want people to be inspired, I don't care if they don't even play a sport. if you are a music artist, like I want you to be inspired by this story. You know, I just have the sports is just the platform, but I want to be able to reach people past sports. And so that's really why I started it.
Yeah, definitely. I've really enjoyed it, and you've had a couple of mentors on there as well. So this do for you, is it also allow you to kind of put your journalist hat back on as opposed to just producing?
Yeah, and that's really why I love doing it, because I kind of get to, you know, do everything with it. So I get to come up with the story, I get to produce it, I get to actually, you know, be the interviewer. I get to do all the things that I love, because I do producing is cool. It's not really maybe it's not my top thing, but I enjoy doing it. I like to, come up with the story. And then I also like to be able to be the person that delivers the story. So being able to have my own thing where I am in control of it is perfect for me.
Okay. Now, one of the coolest things I thought was that you had your dad on the inaugural
Yes.
episode. How has he been, throughout watching your sports journey process?
He is my biggest fan and biggest critic. I'm like, he is, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. He has a critique for anything. I can interview LeBron James on ESPN and it be a perfect interview. And he'd be like, yeah, Shanell, you asked this question and I really think that you could have, he really um he watches what I do, and he has been watching sports, and he played sports in high school, so he knows what, he knows his sports, and that's where I get most of my things from. I talk to him about it. I pick his brain every day. It doesn't matter what we were when the Patrick Mahomes thing. Dad, what do you think about Patrick Mahomes' contract? You know what I'm saying? Like, because he knows what he's talking about, and I've heard him talk about things, and then months later, like he caught the Le'Veon AB drama a year before it happened.
Okay.
Like he called it. He was just like, he's like, this isn't gonna last. And that was before Antonio Brown went on Facebook.
How did he
I,
know?
I honestly, I don't, like, he was just watching the sideline. And
Oh,
then
okay.
last year, he was just like, 2 years ago, he was like, James Conner's not it. Like, he's too soft. And I'm like, what do you mean he's too soft? He's not soft. And then what happened the year after that, he keeps getting hurt. And he's like, I told you he's just soft. Like, I can tell, he was like, I watch guys get hit and I
Hmm.
see what their facial expression and what their body language does, because he played football. So he knows what it looks like to take a hit. And he knows what it takes he knows what it looks like when somebody looks like they don't want to get hit, and he
So,
like uses that and he just analyzes it. I was like,
so,
you're crazy.
so he's a fan of Lamar, right?
Actually, he's not. Well, he thinks he's good. He said he's good. He just doesn't believe in the he thinks that they're gonna figure him out
Hmm.
sooner than later, and he thinks that he doesn't like how they're using him in Baltimore. Like
Really?
he doesn't like how some of the play calling, it'll be unnecessary for him to run with the ball.
Okay.
Like sometimes Baltimore does that. You guys do that. Like it'll be like, okay, it'll be like first and like 17, and you guys would like make him run. And it's like, I get he's a runner, but I feel like he's so good and he's so important to your team. He just wouldn't be like my first, like that's the first thing we do. Like it's like if anything, if no one can get to the ball, that's why we have him, because he can do that. But that's not my first option.
Now, how did he feel about Michael Vick?
He loved Michael Vick. He thought he was, Michael Vick is Michael Vick. And, he thought that he didn't get the respect because of, we know why.
Hmm.
But he likes Michael Vick. He understands why he wants quarterbacks that, like, when they're in college, he wants someone to hold them accountable, especially black quarterbacks. He wants people to hold them accountable of reading defenses, because
Hmm.
that's like, as far as a black quarterback, that's what they like to say about black quarterbacks. Like, they can't read defenses, and for sometimes that's correct. And so he just wants that whole thing to change. Like, he wants, if you're a coach and you have a black quarterback, like, you need to make sure this quarterback, before he leaves your club, he needs to be able to read defenses because that's the first thing that they're going to look at because he's a black quarterback.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked because I looking at stats, right, and we talk about Lamar, right? Well, he broke.
Do we talk about Lamar? Lamar, you talk about Lamar. I'm just kidding.
That was a good one. But you said that he felt like he run too much. You can make that argument. However, when Lamar did have over 3,000 yards this year in passing, the same year he broke Michael Vick's record, right? Mm-hmm. Well, when Michael Vick had that record, he only had 2,400 passing yards. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, like I look at a lot of times and people, I feel like maybe because I don't want to say we've seen this before, because Michael Vick will go tell you that he feels Lamar Jackson is better than him. But
right, and I think he's on the right track to becoming better than him.
Yeah, but I think because it's sort of one of those things we've seen before, people are more critical of Lamar Jackson, where Michael Vick, everybody was just super blown away.
Right, and I agree with that. And I think just because when I see Lamar Jackson, you cannot tell me when Lamar Jackson gets hit when he's running, you don't stop breathing for 5
every time.
Every
time. As a
time.
fan, every time.
but my thing is,
but he don't get hit that much.
No, I'm saying that I feel like it's you guys know he can run, which is great. If he can run, use that. But I just feel like sometimes there are some plays where just like you really did not have to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, third and inches, absolutely. Fourth and absolutely, I get it. But like second and like he is not your running back. He can run and that's great. But people are going to learn how to defend him. So if you guys keep drawing up those plays where, all right, we're just gonna get about him and he's just gonna run, I just feel like he's gonna get hurt. No, I just feel like he's gonna get hurt.
No, you're 100% right. But I will say it's funny how we turned this into a sports show.
You did because you want to talk about your little dirty little.
Oh, at least my quarterback isn't sitting up here deciding whether or not he want to come back or not. You know
what? He decided he's gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? When you get 2 rings, you don't want to play no more. What's there to play for?
That's what I'm saying. Most of y'all don't like Big Ben no more. Y'all just haven't. Y'all don't want him, huh?
I like him.
No, you haven't admitted to yourself. Most of y'all don't like him no more. Y'all ready to move on. Y'all ready to see what else is out there.
Absolutely.
Look, the Giants done moved on. The Chargers done moved on. That class in 2004, y'all had some good quarterbacks. And he's had more, I think, better Super Bowl wins. Huh?
Talk to him.
Yeah, I think he's had better Super Bowl wins than Eli and had a better career than Eli. But I also think, Big Ben, it's time to move on.
I think it is. I think it is time to move on. But I'm a team girl.
I
like,
respect it 100%.
Like the Steelers is my right. The Steelers is my team. Like,
how did that happen?
My father.
Okay. Is he like from the area, or did he grow up watching that defense?
No, he grew up watching. He grew up watching the Steelers. Don't know how.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you think about it though. Like most people love the Steelers during that time. If it was either Cowboys or Steelers, and you look at the guys like Lynn Swann and all of them. So I understand, but he brainwashed.
You're from New England, so you would think like.
Well, they was trash then.
That's true.
and I honestly though, I could stomach a Steelers fan. I can't stomach a Patriots fan.
Me neither. That's why I'm in I just gotta pray every night. What is God leading me to do this season with the Patriots? Am I going for the black man?
Right.
Or am I it's hard. It's hard.
It really is. And one of the things, so I was watching the Patriots and when I was at ESPN, the year the Ravens had kind of like, when we beat the Steelers in the first round of the playoffs.
Why do you have to, like, I could have remembered it by something else. You know what I'm saying? You don't know the year.
Because that was only year it happened. And it was like, oh, wait a minute, they actually have a chance, because that was when we had Steve Smith, and the Patriots fans were so scared that year, about, oh man, we don't want to see Baltimore and this, that, and the other.
You never want to see Boston. Nobody don't ever want to see no AFC North. Like, let's keep it real.
No, you
Like,
said it right. Nobody wants to see Baltimore. You're right.
now, anybody was scared of y'all a few years ago. Y'all got Lamar and don't know how to act now.
We don't. Because we finally got rid of. We found. I mean, y'all would be the same way. Y'all didn't know how to act when y'all was calm, cool, and collected when y'all had Tommy Maddox and Cordell Stewart.
Let me tell you. The Cordell Stewart, don't put some respect on his name.
No, he was actually my first favorite. He was my first favorite quarterback out after Troy Aikman and Steve Young. It was Cordell Stewart because he was black and he was slash on Madden 97. He was the only quarterback you could drop back and run with.
Right. And I think that.
And he played for the Ravens.
You always gotta squeeze. Like, we not even talking about y'all. Jeez. I don't know what I am in the way my emotions are for football right now. Mm-hmm. I just don't know. We have this pandemic. We don't know if football is going to happen. Do I want football to happen? And the Ravens just had this amazing, perfect draft while the Patriots just got freaking Cam Newton. Like, and we still have Patrick Mahomes to worry about in the conference. Like, Shanell, do you really want football to come back? Like, is that what you really want? And then if it does come back, it's like, okay, well, I'm going for the Steelers, but like, I've got to root for everybody that's black. Meaning I have to root for the Ravens. Mm-hmm. Meaning I have to root for the freaking Patriots. It's just,
you don't have to because Belichick's still there and Robert Kraft is a
Cam Newton. Cam Newton, I got to ride with him. Like, Cam
I'm going to root for him to do well to get another contract somewhere else.
No, because even if he does well.
Why didn't y'all pick him up?
Because we dumb.
Been in the way.
No, he no comment. But I think that if Cam does well, number-wise, but the Patriots still don't do well, mm-hmm. It's still not good for Cam.
That's true.
We, as in like just the world, let me say that because they love to hate Cam. They love to hate the black quarterback. Mm-hmm. It's inevitable.
I was telling
they can have a friend, great. People still hate Lamar Jackson.
They do. I was telling
unless
my brother
you're a Steelers fan, you can't hate him.
Oh, right. I was telling my brother Glenn the other day. I said, the Broncos beat and ironically, Peyton Manning is probably one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time, easily top 5. But when they beat the Panthers, that one hurt the most out of a team that wasn't mine because I wanted that one. That was for so bad for the culture. It was everything. You had Snoop there telling Cam to do the dab, and
that was a great season of football.
Mm-hmm.
Until the end. But of course, the story Peyton has to leave with it just has to work out that way.
Yeah, it did. Same way Ray Lewis did.
Right, it has to work out.
And Jerome Bettis, I'll give you that, in his hometown. Even though that was, they got proof that some of those plays was
here we go. We're bringing up old stuff. All
right, but I gotta ask you this before we go. The title of the show is called Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling. When did Shanell Starling break through the glass ceiling in her career?
Ooh, wow, that's a great question.
You should have known it was coming. You listened to the show before.
I'm trying to act like I don't have my answer already. Let me listen. I honestly, it's gonna sound so cliche, but I honestly feel like during this pandemic, mm-hmm. I've done things before, but this pandemic has really opened my mind to so many different things. And just like, when I started at ESPN, even before I started, I looked at ESPN, and a lot of people still do, like, as the bar. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the end all be all. But once you are there and you see your potential,
Yep.
and you see what you can do, and you see what you're capable of, the bar just gets so much higher. And then this pandemic, we're left with just, I'm left here just sitting. I'm not really working. I'm working from home. And it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to come out of this pandemic better? Or am I going to come out of this pandemic the same Shanell from February? So I think this pandemic is really where I grew as far as a journalist, as far as a content creator, just because it's a fair playing, it's an open and fair playing field right now, because nobody's really watching TV that much because it's not, no sports are on. So how people in ESPN, Fox, how they are delivering their news is the same way I can do it. Like it's open for anyone to take it, to grab it and take it and run with it. And I think that that's why, this pandemic has been, it's been terrible because people have been dying. But also I've been able to look at the glass half full and to just be thankful for, still having a job, still being able to, get paid, and still being able to produce content on my own. So I really think it's this pandemic.
Amen. So
Amen.
let the people know where they can find you and get all your content.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm coming out because I haven't, from the sidelines, I took a break from it. So the new season is coming out by the end of July. And that is found on Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud. It's From the Sidelines with Shanell Starling. You can follow my Instagram at Shanell Starling. You can follow me on Twitter at the Coco Shanell. And also, I just started this new Black Women in Sports sister group called My Sister's KeepHer. And you can follow us on Instagram at _My Sister's KeepHer, and KeepHer is spelled KeepHer.
All right. Well, I'm definitely excited. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on.
No, thank you for having. I used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this, bro.
That was good. I'm definitely proud of you. Like I said, just we was in the grind together at Morgan State. The only thing sucks is that we didn't get to be at the 4-letter together, but I was gone. But definitely happy to see you thriving, killing it as always, and also killing it with your own content. So
yeah. And wait, when I say pray for time like this to rhyme like this, I mean like being on your guest on your podcast.
Really?
Yes, that's what I mean. I don't mean in life. Ew, no. I mean on this podcast.
Well, I told you when it started. I said, don't worry, your call is coming. I told you that. So, I'm definitely happy that, you came on, and happy that you appreciated being on.
Yeah, and thank you for like everything you're doing for just like Black women, just Black people, and just everyone in the journalism field. Like you are like awesome. You never hesitate to connect people with each other. Like you need to get your flowers now. So I'm going to give you your flowers. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did producing it. It's always a pleasure, and I'm just so proud to see everything that Shanell is doing. So make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, because next week I go from an ESPN current employee to somebody else who's an ESPN graduate, somebody I work with. Essentially, this guy left me there, and that is my good brother, the one and only Quincy Young. So folks, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you give me a 5-star rating. Help me out, help me climb the charts. Get this out there to the college students, the high school students who trying to figure out what they want to do. Get it out there to them, folks. And make sure you do not let anybody set up a glass ceiling that you can't break through. So long, everybody.